Oh my goodness, it's been a really long time since I've done a Real Talk. But you know what? I am so thankful to all of you guys on Patreon for supporting me, and I honestly haven't given you guys enough content for just being such great people. So this is my way of kind of saying, sorry, here I am. And so let's talk about it right now. I think when I last left off on the whole Real Talk thing, outside of some of the more important issues like the Patreon in general, the channel was finally starting to take off. Now, the thing is that I would always love to do Real Talk, and it's not about the views with Real Talk. It's always really been about just having some kind of documentation about the journey that I've been going through. But the biggest problem is once you start getting good at YouTube and you start bringing in an audience, YouTube algorithm really starts to come down on you. It starts to get a lot more strict on your channel. And if you put out a video like Real Talk, it hurts the chances of people coming to see the actual Boundary Break show later on. It does a couple things. It makes you lose subscribers from people who don't care. But more importantly, when I put out a new Boundary Break, what's going to happen is less people are going to be made aware of it, because my channel's telling YouTube, hey, this guy's kind of really dodgy with his audience. You know, one day he's got a video that people really care about, and the next day they don't. So then the programming doesn't tell as many people about the new episode of Boundary Break, which is what everybody cares about. Again, it's not about the views, but at the same time, it really hurts the growth. So it has kind of like a double-edged sword, and both of them want to hit me in the head. But this is a perfect place for this. This is all about the most hardcore fans that really do care about my well-being. And also, it's on a channel that's completely outside of my main channel. So we got that. But it's just what an amazing experience. You know, one of the things that I still can't believe, I've grown so much as a channel, and I've been around on the internet. You know, I know what it's like to get big on YouTube. I know what it's like to be small on YouTube. And usually channels get a lot of trolls and hate, and a lot of people telling them that they're awful or something along those lines. I barely ever get anything like that ever. And if there is any sort of criticism towards the channel, it's usually just about small things that can be improved, and it's oftentimes done in a very polite way. Oftentimes. So I can't be more thankful for that. But let me get on a subject that a lot of people are probably concerned about, and that is that in July I have to decide whether or not I go back to full-time work or I continue doing this YouTube thing. It's been kind of scary. Literally, I just talked to my parents' landlord, and I'm going to be taking over this small house that I live in. And you would think, like, well, why don't you just move to an apartment? Believe it or not, the rent control on this house is really low, and it would just be foolish not to try to, you know, maintain that, because if I was to try to find like a 3-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment, it would actually cost more than it would be to live in this small house. So I'm still renting, and we just talked to the landlord, and he's giving me a shot. Problem is, right now, with the amount of money that I'm making off of YouTube, it's kind of making me just shy of meeting that goal. And then the very scary part is knowing that not every month on YouTube is going to be the same as the last month. You hope that every month you end up making more money. I mean, who doesn't want that? But like literally, like my only concern is just wanting that to happen, because I just want to feel secure and safe as far as living on my own. But as far as my experience goes, that's not really the case. It can just go all over the place, and this is when it starts influencing me as a creator, and I hate that so much. I really do, because I've always been that guy that's like, just do what you want, do what you feel like you want to do, you know, and don't worry about the views, because at the end of the day, integrity should be the thing that matters most. But the real issue, the real force at my back here is, if I put out let's say a Star Tropics video, right? Or Time Splitters 2 video, games that you probably don't even know about, I stand to have like no views that week because of the way my channel is. Like when you're a comedy-based YouTuber or a vlogger, people really start to get invested in the person, and also just a number of things. Like a vlogger can put out a video on nearly anything, and they'll have a lot of their subscribers come back and watch it regardless. But talking with other similar YouTubers, information-based YouTubers have, for one thing, a lot of people don't really care about the curator, they care about the information, the content. And that becomes a problem because when you want to put out a video on an obscure game, if it's a game they've never heard about, it's very likely they don't want to click into the video and just check it out and see what it's all about. So I can get videos on the same exact concept as every other video Boundary Break, and I could get a third of the audience. I can get a third of my own subscriber count if the game isn't popular enough. So that's one of the two biggest reasons why I wish the Patreon can meet its next goal. And I'm not saying this to put this pressure on you, whoever's viewing this video. You've done your part, so don't worry about it. And I'm not asking you to do anything else. I'm literally just pouring my thoughts out to you. But like, if I was able to meet my next goal of 2,600, that would be the bare minimum amount to make sure that no matter how many views I get on a video, I'm safe for that month. I can make the rent, I can take care of my girlfriend, and I can put out a video about anything I want and not have any worry about it. But until that day ever happens, right now, there's definitely a conscious mind of what popular games need to be covered. And so that's why you see games like Pokemon Snap, Arkham Asylum, great games, lots and lots of people play them. Surprisingly, Portal 2, I just didn't see that one coming out of anywhere. And so now I have it on my mind that Valve games are really important to cover. And this is all in an effort to keep my head above water, unfortunately. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But now that's just an added level of conscious thought as a creator. Now perhaps to you who's listening right now, don't believe in that. You might think it's all about integrity. Just do what you want to do and don't worry about the money or the views. And I do. I really wish I could say that, you know? If I was still working at the office job, hey, I could say that. It's like, what's the risk? Where's the risk involved, you know? Hey, if my parents weren't moving away soon, even then I'd probably just say, hey, why not? You know, I could have a bad month, you know? I'll still make enough money to pay for other things like car insurance and phone bills and stuff like that. But unfortunately, there's a massive force on my back to actually compromise on my integrity. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, I don't think so. But it is just something I've been thinking about, you know? But what about what's going on recently? Lately, I've been starting a podcast with A+ Start and Beta 64, and it's called the Game Club Podcast. This is actually two things. One is I've always wanted to talk about games. I always wanted to be a game reviewer, but it just wasn't my place. I might revisit it someday, but I feel like Game Club Podcast is a great outlet for it. I finally get a chance to share my thoughts and feelings towards video games, and not only be able to express that to you, but also be able to bounce it off of two other very high-profile YouTubers and have a very real discussion. And you know what? I actually kind of prefer that. One of the things that kind of stinks about being a review-type YouTuber is that you start to kind of get overzealous. You start to think that your opinion is law, and a lot of the things that you say goes, and a lot of people will actually believe you. And I don't like that. I like to be challenged as far as what my opinions are. And man, it feels great when someone actually agrees with what you're thinking. So Game Club Podcast is just perfect for that. And I really hope it takes off. And I really hope that Beta 64 and A+ Art stick around. They're really great people. They're actually really awesome guys. You know, it's not... I'm telling you right now, here's behind the curtain. These two are not rigid, business-savvy people. I mean, they could be business-savvy, but they speak to me like I'm a person, you know? When the record button's off, we still continue to talk to each other like people. And, you know, as a YouTuber, I've found some people just take this whole thing way too seriously. I get that you might want to make a career out of it, but at the same time, you know, we're people. We're all just person to person. And I've always tried to incorporate that into my channel. I never ever want to just become a super fake person. I like to be genuine. Hey, this is why I'm doing Real Talk right now. This is the most genuine you'll ever see me. You know? But yeah, Game Club seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, one other thing I want to mention before I take off here is that I finally have actual anonymous sources for developers. Developers that want to give me nice information for Boundary Break. Something I've always wanted. But apparently, developers cannot come out of the shadows as far as when it comes to this stuff because they are under strict guidelines by the companies that they work for. If you represent a company like EA and you get on camera and you talk about game development and people find out that you're associated with EA, that might be a conflict of interest with the company itself, and therefore you could get fired. And you might have a hard time finding work again because, well, you're that guy that got on camera and exposed trade secrets when EA didn't want you to. So I understand that, but still, we have people that care deeply about the show, and they want to make sure that you guys are completely informed. They want to make sure I'm completely informed. And so the show's going to be so much better for it. You guys are so lucky. I'm so glad I'm able to provide that for you. But anyways, guys, I'm going to get going. Here's some fan art that has collected over time. I want to show you guys that. Probably have seen some of it already if there's just been too much of it. But just letting you guys know, I appreciate so much that you're helping me out on Patreon. Honest to goodness, if all of you jumped ship tomorrow, I'd be out of luck. I do not make enough money to live on my own with just YouTube ad revenue alone because of the adpocalypse. The fact that I can't do that, and a lot of you have come to my aid, it's a heartwarming experience, and I can't thank you guys enough. I gotta go. I gotta work on this episode. I actually took a little bit of time out so that I could just do this for you guys real quick, but I gotta take off. So I hope to do this again soon. You know, if I don't, please just nudge me on Twitter or something like that. Like, just poke me and be like, hey, I want a real talk. I'm helping you out, buddy. Help me out. But take care, guys. I hope to talk to you again soon. Later.